Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and yet very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of June 19th, 2012, and One Eagle in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We'll also discuss the second Gemini new moon, the solstice, Venus and Saturn turning direct, the first exact square of Uranus and Pluto, and Mercury moving into Leo. June 19th is One Eagle, and this carries the themes of higher perspective, keen vision, free spirit, the messenger of faith and knowledge, patience, the wings of spirit, value, manifestation of fertility, knowing the details, dualities of sun and moon, the budding youth and the wise elder, male and female, the soaring eagle and the fallen eagle, the messenger between heaven and earth. Excuse me. It also represents luck, hope, liberty, trust, good fortune, and good relationships. Eagles have the quality of being able to observe movements from a great distance. The One Eagle 13-day period could be used to gain a greater perspectives about the events in our lives through creating some distance between observer and observed. Astrologically, the One Eagle Trisena begins with Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto all appearing as moving in reverse motion from our perspective on Earth. I created this diagram to demonstrate how the planets appear to move in reverse. It's not drawn to scale and uses the tropical system, but I believe it could be really helpful to our understanding. The circles represent the planets' orbits around the sun, and the lines that originate in all these directions from the Earth represent the astrological divisions of the signs as they're observed from the Earth. The positions of the planets and the signs of the zodiac are set for June 24th, which is the first exact square between Uranus and Pluto, and I'm going to discuss that later in the report. But first we can see that as the Earth moves in its orbit around the sun, from our perspective, the line of sight would be that the sun is moving through these constellations in order, going from Cancer to Leo to Virgo and so on. In this diagram, it's movement that is counterclockwise. Basically, whenever a planet is appearing to move counterclockwise in this diagram from our perspective on Earth, it's said to be in direct motion. When a planet appears to be moving backwards against these zodiacal signs, then it's said to be moving in retrograde. And this is really pretty easy to see on the inner planets of Venus and Mercury, because basically from the Earth's perspective, when they're kind of moving around behind the sun, they're moving this way, counterclockwise from our perspective, and they appear as though they are moving direct. It's once they come around in front of the sun that, from our perspective, that they appear as if they are moving retrograde. Basically, we in this diagram, we have Venus is here at 7 degrees Gemini, and it appears as if it's stopped. I mean, basically the planets continue to move at the same speed, but from our perspective, it looks like it's slowing down relative to this constellation, slowing down as it gets to this point where it appears to be stopped and then prepares to enter into the backside of its orbit, around the backside of the sun, and then it's going to appear as if it's moving direct. And this shift where it appears to be moving direct will be on June 27th. Now, Mercury is just kind of completing moving around the backside of the sun in its orbit, and it will come around this corner and appear to be moving retrograde relative to the Earth in July. The planets outside the Earth's orbit, which are Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, those appear to be in reverse as the Earth passes them on its inner track. So it's as if you think of a racetrack, as the Earth laps past these other outer planets, that's when they appear as though they're moving backwards from our perspective. And we can kind of even take this tangential line here, and as it moves along with the Earth along its orbit, we see that this leading edge of this line, as it moves, the planet, when it comes into contact with a planet, that's when the planet appears to slow down and begin to move retrograde. And the trailing part of this tangent line, as it crosses the planet appears to slow down and then move direct again. So basically, any of the outer planets that are on this side of the line are currently appearing as being direct, being Mars and Uranus and Jupiter, and the planets that are on this side of this tangential line currently appear to be retrograde, being Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune. And actually, if you think about it as it's moving along, Saturn will be the next planet to move direct, and Uranus is going to be the next planet that moves retrograde. But during this report period, Venus and Saturn are turning direct, and how this influences us is we feel the urge to move forward with our cosmic course correction that we became aware of based on the information and experiences that we've gathered during their retrograde and shadow stages over the past bunch of months. Both of these cycles seem to be regarding changes in our relationships with our significant other, lover, partner, and I discussed all of this really from a different perspective in the previous One Wind report on June 6th. If you didn't see that, you might want to check that report out for more information about this. Basically, the details of these 13 days is June 19th is One Eagle. This is about unity being experienced through seeing from a higher perspective. With the second Gemini new moon, bringing energy for new beginnings in the final degrees of Gemini. So with new moons, we set an intention. So you want to set your intention related to the house of your birth chart that encompasses 28 degrees of Gemini. For me, that's my ascendant and first house. So my intention will be related to my own individual process. In Gemini, it's about communicating, investigating new information, promoting yourself, networking, and exploring new technology. This new moon is challenged by Mars as it merges with the Sun and is supported by Saturn and Neptune, which brings kind of weird energy to that day with intellectual challenges and possible verbal aggression, but also restraint, confusion, and daydreams. The 20th is Two Wisdom, and this is about duality being experienced through reflection, meditation, and forgiveness as the sun enters into Cancer, which brings us the solstice, which is summer in the north and winter in the south. And so if you planted intentions during the equinox, how are they growing at this point? Do you need to weed something out so that what you intended has more room to grow? The sun is in Cancer and it illuminates our security and emotional well-being. And the solstice chart reveals some of the themes that we're going to experience over the next 3 months. And in it, we have Mercury being challenged by Saturn, and this can be frustrating as information and transportations may experience delays. And then we've got Venus being stimulated by Uranus, which will have us really wanting to have new and exciting social contacts, connections, and things like that. On the 20th, there's also a minor transit of Venus in conjunct to to Pluto. That's 150 degrees, which Venus interacting with Pluto can bring contact with ex-lovers, and combining with the Mercury-Saturn square, which can lead to a challenging conversation where somebody feels rejected. And then if you throw in the Uranus and Pluto square, there may be unexpected and dangerous reprisals to all of this. Ideally, energy would be best channeled into getting over any obsessive feelings towards a former partner. The Cancer moon is being challenged by Uranus and opposed by Pluto, which brings rebellious, conflicted, and intense emotional encounters with others. On June 21st, we have 3 Earth, and this is about taking action through gratitude for Mother Earth. And we've got Mercury being stimulated by Mars. This increases mental energy to be utilized to achieve our objectives, with the moon being challenged by Saturn and stimulated by Mars. And also merging with Mercury. The day begins with feelings of isolation and loneliness, but later shifts to desire to work independently with rational thoughts that are strong, where our rational thoughts are really strongly influenced by our moods. The 22nd is 4 Flint, which is about stability through being introspective, with the Leo moon in harmony with Jupiter and Venus, and supported by Uranus. The day starts in a good mood with congenial interactions with others, and later feels like being with friends and craving some emotional excitement. June 23rd is 5 Storm, and this is about empowerment through recognizing the gifts in adversity, when the sun is being supported by Neptune, which brings a strong desire to dig deeper into our spiritual nature, into the spiritual nature of reality. And this will be great energy for meditation or contemplating metaphysical subjects, while the moon in Leo is stimulated by Saturn, which may bring the feeling like being alone in our thoughts and feelings. And then on the 24th, this is 6 Sun or 6 Ahau, which is about being in the flow through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors. And this is the time of this first exact square of Uranus and Pluto, which I'm going to discuss in detail later in the report. But expect a day with unexpected events that manifest quickly and have the possibility to bring death and devastation. But for some, this will also become instantly empowered. As the moon is being challenged by Jupiter and Venus, and opposed by Neptune, and in harmony with the sun and supported by Pluto, the day can be confusing with benevolent feelings and sensitivity to others that really might not be accurate. And but also it's got this feeling of balance between our inner and outer worlds, and later intensified yet very pleasant social contacts. June 25th is 7 Crocodile, which is about reflection through nurturing new beginnings as Saturn turns direct and is at the peak of its power, pushing us to move forward with the course correction that we've become aware of from the events that we've had since November of 2011. But we also have Jupiter being challenged by Neptune, which can bring confusion and illusion, while Mercury enters into Leo, which will have people roaring about what they need. And then we have the Virgo moon, which has no aspects. So this might be a good day to rest from all these changes that we're experiencing. And then on the 26th, this is 8 Wind, and this is about balance. Through sending communications of all kinds. The first quarter moon merges with Mars and is stimulated by Mercury is supported by Jupiter and challenged by the sun. The day begins with irritable feelings, then shifts as the pace picks up in the area of social interactions and communications. And then later we receive sort of more of a sense of well-being. And finally, we have hidden tensions that sort of come to the surface. June 27th is Nine Night, and this is about patience through contemplating the stars as Venus finally makes it around this corner and appears to be turning direct, making us aware of the change that we want to implement in our social relationships. We've been reviewing our relationships of the past and the present since the middle of May, and now as we can move forward, realizing that we've completed that task, as the Libra moon finds support from Venus, is challenged by Pluto and opposed by Uranus. We have feelings, we have some pleasant social interactions, but there's also feelings of compulsive behavior along with emotional, which is kind of emotionally excitable and impulsive energy. On the 28th, we have 10 Seed, which is about manifestation through planting new seeds or making new contacts, with the moon merging with Saturn and supported by Neptune and challenged by Mercury. This is a day sort of begins with loneliness and feelings of isolation, with daydreams and fantasies feeling more important than reality. But it also increases our communications. And then on June 29th, we have 11 Serpent. This is a resolution through feeling flexible as the sun is being challenged by Uranus and opposed by Pluto, which creates a T-square that illuminates the energy that will be is really the same energy that will completely change the world over the next 3 years. So expect to see sparks and hear shocking information. And with Pluto involved, transformation will be tied to all this intensity. And on that day, we've got Mercury harmonizing with Jupiter, which expands our point of view. So we are seeing from a higher perspective during this One Eagle Tzolkin, while the Scorpio moon finds support from the sun and is in harmony with Pluto. So the day begins with pleasant energy of feeling in harmony, but also the desire to experience something profound. And then on the 30th, we have 12 Transformation. This is about understanding through releasing what no longer serves us. As the moon is stimulated by Mars and supported by Neptune, brings a day where folks want to work independently. And again, we have these fantasies that seem more important than reality. And then July 1st, we have 13 Deer, which is a movement to the next stage through being of service to others, with the Sagittarius moon being opposed by Jupiter and Venus, supported by Mercury and Uranus. This whole thing forms a kite where the moon, Mercury, and Uranus are in a grand trine, and Venus and Jupiter are the tail, which brings unexpected generosity and the ability to express our feelings, and also the enjoyment of friends and the desire for emotional excitement. All this is happening on the final day of the second to last Trecena of the Tzolkin round. So all this, this being the One Eagle Tzolkin, which is about unity, from seeing from a higher perspective, from a different perspective, and the first Pluto-Uranus exact square. I thought I'd create this chart as a way to show a different perspective on the Uranus-Pluto square as observed from Earth in relation to the solar system and the astrological signs of the tropical system. Again, it's not drawn to square. This red angle here represents a 90-degree angle, which we call a square in astrology, between Pluto and Uranus. And this alignment is going to happen 7 times between 2012 and 2015. And this is going to create revolution in the global financial, corporate, industrial, governmental, and societal structures. This alignment was close during the spring and summer of 2011, where we saw the strongest uprising of the counterculture since the 1960s, with the Arab Spring and Occupy Wall Street and the European economic crisis, with Uranus bringing revolution and disruption in the most aggressive sign of Aries, and then we've got Pluto bringing destruction of the old systems in the steadfast sign of Capricorn. We are sure to experience a rapid transformation over the next 3 years. The square will be the equivalent of like the first quarter moon. So if we think of the moon as it appears to be conjunct the sun during the new moon, and then as it moves into the first quarter, that's where we start to see the growth of the plants relative to the seeds that were planted when we plant our attention on a new moon. So what we're seeing is that this is the energy like that. So we have to look back to when was Uranus and Pluto conjunct, and they were conjunct in Virgo in the 1960s, which set the themes for this coming period of time. And during the Virgo conjunction, the seeds were of healing, ecology, economic fairness, creativity, the end of all war, harmony, and power of the people. That's what we were planting. And during the next 3 years, we're going to see that these plants that have already broken through the ground are going to go bigger and stronger and eventually flower. Their fruition will really occur during the Uranus-Pluto opposition, which would be like a full moon, and that's going to occur on 2045 to 2048. But we're really going to see a tremendous movement in that direction during the next 3 years. And history is going to look back at this time period as pivotal for humanity. During the previous squares, Uranus was in Aries and Pluto was in Cancer during 1932 to 1934, which was the time of the previous financial collapse, the Great Depression, and the rise of fascism. And although we can really see similarities between then and now, because we're in the first square after the conjunction, we're in a totally new cycle with new objectives. This square is, on June 24th happens at 8 degrees, but over the next few years it's going to happen between 6 and 15 degrees of Capricorn and Aries for Pluto and Uranus, which got me to thinking about the people who were born between October 1969 and August 1972, who are going to experience their Uranus opposition, which otherwise is known as their midlife crisis, during this time period, which will mean that not only are they going to be feeling the tension of Uranus, but they're also going to be challenged by the Pluto energy pushing them to transform. So if you're one of these people, just know that all this intensity over the next 3 years will eventually subside. And if you really want to understand how you're going to be personally impacted, I would suggest that you get a reading from an astrologer or a human design analyst that understands these things. But anyway, regardless of when you're born, every one of us is going to experience profound change during this time period. It's like the song says, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. My advice is don't resist it. Go with the flow. This new wave of this new wave of energy. It's a whole lot better to be body surfing the wave than resist it and being pummeled into the sand at the beach. In the chart for this Uranus-Pluto square, we have the sun at 3 degrees of Cancer, and it's being supported by Neptune at 3 degrees of Pisces, which illuminates our need for a spiritual awakening during this time of transformation. We also have this alignment of Venus and Jupiter squaring Neptune, so it's the same kind of angle from our perspective here on Earth, which intensifies this awakening and the need for us to experience spiritual beauty as this whole thing is going to expand and be available to everyone. And because Venus is being stimulated by Uranus, this means that these expressions of beauty are going to come in some cases as a complete surprise, totally unexpected. And then we've got Mercury being stimulated by Mars, so this means our minds are going to be clear and assertive. And, given all this information, I'm really grateful that I understand astrology to be able to understand these cosmic energies that are going to be impacting us all. And I'm also really grateful for the human design system because it offers a person a strategy to stay in the flow by looking at their own unique design, which to me is why this system is available to humanity during all this uncertain times, to give us tools so that we're in the right place at the right time with the right people during this tumultuous transition between worlds. But, no matter whether you're riding the wave or resisting it during this One Eagle Tzolkin, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature and watching the sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with somebody you love. Every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what dramas are beckoning to take us off balance. We're all here to give the performance of our lifetime on this world stage. But what I'm saying, especially during this One Eagle Tzolkin, take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part. Remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Anyway, as always, thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on July 2nd for 1 star, and we're also going to discuss the Capricorn full moon, Mars moving into Libra, both Mercury and Uranus turning retrograde. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and the Mayan Magics website. And as always, I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions about these reports or you wish to schedule a reading with me. I'm providing readings and wish to make these services available to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation. These readings are designed to provide information to help you navigate all these different difficult times ahead. At the basic level, we'll look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your own individual strategy and authority for making life decisions based on your own unique design. I include the next 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology, along with the human design at the middle level of the readings that are being offered. And then at the top level, the human design and astrological transit readings will be recorded and sent to you on an MP3 file that can be downloaded onto your computer. So look, if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA or connect over Skype to receive your reading. As always, I am deeply, deeply blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their applications in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste in Lakesh.